Hello YouTube vinyl community, I'm Jeff Paris and welcome to the Vinyl Record Info channel. And today we're going to talk about controversial records. So, controversial records means different things to different people. I just picked out a few records that when they came out or later on, people talked about them for one way or another, and they became, kind of infamous, or people didn't like something about the cover, or there was a story behind it, something like that. But the first one is one of my favorite records of all time, Orangutan. So this is an Old Records exclusive on that kind of burnt orange, but I love this record. If you like early 70s hard rock, you will love this. This is one of my favorite albums of all time. Originally this was a UK band called Hunter, and they recorded one album, this one, and this happened a million times, in the early 70s, but the record producer, the guy in the booth was, a scumbag, and he took their record and stole it and went to America, renamed him Orangutan. I think he did the cover art, which is cool. He did the cover art and released it, and the band Hunter back in the UK had no idea this ever came out. So they got bamboozled, but it did give us one of the best early 70s hard rock albums ever. Unfortunate. Alright, now anytime there was a naked person on an album, it caused an uproar in its time. Nowadays, nobody would care, but, back in the 70s and stuff like that, people were a little more strict about that. But, for example, Rush Hemispheres, it's got a naked guy on it. Rush did that a lot. That was one of their symbols. Another one example here, All the World's a Stage. This is a sealed Canadian press that I just haven't opened yet, but I will. So very, very cool sealed Canadian press. But again, that's just one of the band's logos is that guy with the, the pentagram there and whatever. This is the Woodstock album, and the photographer for Woodstock who took all these photos got these people bathing in a river near Woodstock, and I guess they didn't even know that they were going to be part of the album cover, or part of the album art, and when it came out they were surprised. But that's it. And then I think I've already showed this one before, but this is Soft Machine. This is an original US press on that Pro, but on the back cover, it's the uncensored version of the lady laying down. So, this is really cool with the die cast. You can rotate that, look at different pictures and stuff. All right, next one is Attack Scam label. So this is Stonewall. Again, this is an Old Record exclusive because the originals of these go for over $10,000. I think the last one sold for $10K. Another tax scam label. They didn't steal this one, but basically a lot of labels back then in the 70s were fronts for something else, or they were just laundering their money through a record label. But some of the tax scam labels did put out really great records, even though they were doing something illegal behind it. But and this is one of them. This is really, really great. Check that out. This is the Rolling Girls. This is the Rolling Stones, Some Girls, and this is an original U.S. press. And basically, when this first came out, none of these actors or actresses gave the Rolling Stones permission to use their image and likeness in the album. So, there's a bunch of different versions of this cover, but then eventually what the Rolling Stones did is they took out all of the pictures of the celebrities and they just put their faces in there instead. I had them dressed up, silly and weird, but yeah, like Lucille Ball and Marilyn Monroe, and there's a bunch of other people that just didn't give their permission to be on it. This is the Rolling Stones' Beggars Banquet. This is an original U.S. press, not London label. So the Rolling Stones are we're still touring, and within the last few years, the A1 song on here is "Sympathy for the Devil." Everybody's heard that song. My kids call it the Hoo Hoo song, but there's a part of the song where it says, "Who kills the Kennedys?" When after all, it was you and me. And when they've been touring the last few years, they've not been saying that. They've been omitting that part of the song. And they think probably it was because RFK Jr. has just asked them, hey, can you not? You're talking about my family. So they have not been saying that line during their recent touring. Okay, this is Robert Johnson, King of the Delta Blues Singers, Volume 2. This is an early press on Columbia. It's a promo copy. But, man, I would really like a original of Volume 1, but they're very, very pricey. They're on a 6i Columbia label, but the 2Is you can get for, I don't know, probably like $50, but the 6i, the originals, are very expensive, hundreds of dollars. But I'm sure you've heard this story before. I think maybe I even said it, but Robert Johnson is the person behind the myth of the story of a devil at the crossroads. So basically, Robert Johnson was in the Delta area, Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana area, doing blues all around those states. And we're talking Depression era. And his mentors were like people like Son House and things like that. And basically, he was okay. He was okay at blues. He would play with those guys, those big guys, and kind of learn from them, stuff like that. But then he disappeared. And the story goes is that when he disappeared, he met the devil at a crossroads, and he sold his soul for the ability to play guitar better than anybody else. And when he returned, he was missing for a while. When he returned, everybody was astonished at how much he had improved in his guitar ability and his guitar skills. And they became the Robert Johnson that we all know. Did very, very well. I don't believe that, no, but it's a cool story. When he disappeared, we're talking Depression era, Deep South. It's not like they had cell phones. He probably just went a few towns away and nobody knew where he was for a while. The only weird thing is that, it was a short period of time that he was missing. But when he came back, he was really good at guitar, but, he could have just been practicing or he just got better. But, it's kind of a cool story that goes with this. And, he is fantastic at guitar. So I mentioned this before, but I'll do this really quick. Randy Holden, wrote the B side of this. The band screwed him over, and then he came out with Population 2. This is a reissue, signed and hand signed and numbered. But yeah, like I said, original of these are crazy, crazy expensive. So if you like Randy Holden, just get a reissue. This is David Bowie, Diamond Dogs. So basically, what's really cool about this one, this is an original press on the RCA label, but if you have a copy of this one, take a look at it. Take a look at the back cover, because back here you have the other side of the bottom half of the dog. When you open it up, it's the full-length dog. But the very, 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 very early ones had all the normal anatomy of a dog down there. And all the subsequent ones are airbrushed. But if you have one that's not airbrushed, it is worth an incredible amount of money. It's very, very, very rare. But, people made us think about seeing a dog's private parts back then, which is lame. And, so RCA airbrushed it out. the things people get upset about is, very weird. All right, this is Boston, self-titled. I've complained about this before, but 1977, Boston lost the Best Debut Album Grammy to the Starland Vocal Band, who you probably know them because they sing Afternoon Delight, and Ron Burgundy made that one famous in Anchorman. But at the time this came out, it was like the best-selling debut album in music, like in history, at the time this came out. And it, start to finish, is unbelievable record, and it lost to Star Rockets in Flight. That's it's still crazy. Yeah, I still don't like it. It's like, yeah, I don't know. It's like Goodfellas losing to Dances with Wolves at the 1990 Academy Awards. This is the Beatles, Abbey Road. There are conspiracy theories out there that Paul McCartney died in 1966. And they say that the Beatles, after that, and all their albums, put little clues in the album art to like soften the blow of Paul McCartney's death. It's all ridiculous and crazy, but it's fun to like read about and look at and stuff like that. But this is an original UK press on the Apple label, but yeah. So basically, on the cover, they say that this is a funeral procession with John Lennon in white leading the procession, and then Ringo is the Undertaker. He's the corpse, and he's like the grave digger, basically. And then like he's the only one without shoes, and he's the only one out of step with the rest of the Beatles. And they say that's why. And then also the white Volkswagen there, the license plate says 28IF, so 28th. And they say that, like, the conspiracists say that, Paul McCartney would have been 28 if he survived they say he died in a car crash in 1966. But I don't think that's even right. I think he would have been 27, if I remember it correctly. But, yeah, it's just a fun thing to look into. It's, there's a bunch of other Beatles albums that they go, and the conspiracy theories go into as well. But I think it's all malarkey, but it's a fun thing. All right, and then in October 20th, 1970, Leonard Skinner's plane crashed, killing a bunch of members of the band, including their lead singer. And, the lead singer, Van Zandt, they say that he was like didn't care. He was like, when the plane went down, he was like, high, and like didn't really care that the plane was going down. But anyways, yeah, so October 20th, 1977, Leonard Skinner's plane crashed, killing members of the band. And they had just released this album. I think they were actually touring for this album. And obviously, after that, this album became retroactively in very bad taste, right? You can see like members of the band engulfed in flames and stuff like that. So, no good. And they, all subsequent pressings they released, they just did this black album art for that. But I love Leonard Skinner, and the story of that plane crash is crazy. And if you are ever interested in it, look it up. Go into more detail with that, because it's a crazy story about that plane crashing. Yeah. Okay, so these are just ACDC albums, right? Back in Black and The Shrink. We got Flow's About to Rock. But so cool story is my dad went to an Aerosmith concert I think it was 1979. You went to an Aerosmith concert, and the opening was Walter Egan, Mahogany Rush. So that goes Walter Egan, then comes out Mahogany Rush. They start jamming, and then they announce, all the way from Australia, a special guest. Give it up for ACDC. And ACDC comes out and just jams. They rock it, right? I mean, everybody is going nuts. This is like, they're very surprised that they were there, and they were killing it. Whole place goes crazy. And then it goes them, one more band, and then Aerosmith. The band they put on after AC/DC was Foreigner, and they got booed off the stage. Foreigner was trying to play the Star Rider, after AC/DC just crushed it, right? They got booed up. The Foreigner was like, if you guys don't want to hear us, we'll just leave. And the whole crowd's like, leave, like, get out of here. What? We just heard AC/DC, and they left the stage. They ended early, and then Aerosmith came out, and they obviously jammed and rocked it too. But it's just funny that that's a tough lineup for Foreigner. If you like Foreigner, that's great, but you should not put them on after AC/DC. That is tough. Sandwiched in between AC/DC and Aerosmith. It's a tough beat. That's a tough look for Foreigner, but yeah. So that'll do it, guys. I really appreciate it. The last video did great, and if just half of those people that watched my last video subscribed, we'd be well on our way. But please, if you get a chance, just subscribe to the channel, or just hit the thumbs up. That helps me get in the algorithm, and really appreciate it. Catch you guys next time.